So, Mr. Christian, I am so happy to finally meet you. I've been a fan since Buffy the Vampire, since Angel.
Thank you so much, man.
And if you can, if I turn around my camera, you will see all my magical. I'm the world's biggest Buffy fan.
Oh, wow, man. Well, I mean, it's so strange. All those guys are my friends. I can't believe that they didn't involve me in the 20-year reunion. I'm literally the only actor besides Boreanaz that was in the pilot and the final episode. They didn't call me.
Aww. Well, we still have more chance. Hopefully they'll have a 30th reunion. But congratulations on Almost Paradise, Mr. Christian. I was telling Dean earlier that not only is it fun and entertaining, it's also smart, and it has a lot to say about the drug war as well.
Yeah, it does, man. And Dean was very smart in this situation. He didn't want the Philippines in general to be the bad guy, and he didn't want Filipinos being bad guys.
Right.
There's a lot of those guys, from different countries. They think they can go there and get their way and take and have their way with the country and just do their bad stuff. And Dean wanted to show that that's what's going on, and so it was fun. All the bad guys are from different parts of the country, and they used the Philippines for that. And the Philippines finally said, "We're not having any more of it." So.
Yeah, and I quite enjoy it because it's an intriguing mixture of the beauty and the ugly, the beauty of my homeland, Philippines, and the ugliness of the drug war, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly it, And a lot of people we've seen Southeast Asia, we've seen Asia, in movies and stuff like that. A lot of people haven't seen the Philippines. They don't know the beauty there. They don't know the colors. They don't know the culture, and especially the spiritualness there. And so Dean, being a Filipino American, he really thought this was a great way to showcase it. And he found a beautiful way to showcase it without saying, look, there's some bad, but look how much beauty there is, And so I was very smart in this part.
That's right. So take us from the very beginning. What got you interested in making Almost Paradise?
Well, I tell you, man, me and Dean had he had lunch with me. He said, I need to have lunch with you. It was after Leverage. And he said, how would you like to do the librarians? I said, I'm in. Sign me up. Where do I sign? And he wrote that role for me.
Oh.
At the end of the conversation, at the end of lunch, we'd said yes to the librarians. He goes, I got a role for you, but you're too young for it right now. It's an older guy. You're too young. And we did, 5 years later, after we finished the librarians, he goes, you're ready. And so that's how all he said was, you're ready to go. And I just said yes. I didn't have to look at the role. Of course, over the next year, I sat down in Dean's office a lot, and we talked about the character and hashed the character out. But it was all in Dean's head. It was Dean's idea, and it was Dean's character. He let me run with it. But thank God he guided me towards the finish line for the first season.
Yeah. Well, Dean said that your character, Alex Walker, is one of the most emotionally difficult, maybe, role that you had played. Is that true?
Yeah. It is true because I played other emotional roles and difficult roles. Elliot Spencer is all wrapped up inside himself, and Jake Stone was just smart. And that's a lot of magic and a lot of fun and a lot of different, like look at me and kind of stuff like that. But this character actually has his heart on his sleeve. He actually shows his emotion. Elliot had emotions and Leverage, but we never saw him. He covered it up with just being mad all the time. And this guy actually tries to cover it up with comedy. Sometimes they land, sometimes they don't. And when they don't land, it's on purpose because it's supposed to show his vulnerability. And that makes it even funnier in some places. But the guy wears his heart on his sleeve. You see the emotion. He can't keep it inside. All the years of being undercover in the DEA, he just, it's gotten to him. He's at a breaking point. And so it was fun for me. It was very challenging for me. It was fun for me. And I think once Dean knew I was playing the role, he wrote it that way.
Well, and when we first meet your character, Alex Walker, he said we were immediately honed into his problem that he's having hypertension.
Yeah, which is a real thing, man. And I didn't think it was real at first. When I started reading the script, I go, oh, they made up this disease. This is cool. Come to find out, it's a really big thing, man. They actually started having commercials in the Philippines about hypertension. And now it's really kind of hit everyone hard in the world because of the COVID-19. People are panicking. People are not getting their heart rate. But it's, so that was also the underlying problem. And you realize that, you realize what those people go through. Listen, I had friends in the DEA for a long time. I met them on the road when I was in music, when I was doing music. And, they're all a little bit taken aback and kind of out there because of the stuff they have to deal with.
Yeah. But yet he bought a gift shop. So much for peace and happiness.
Exactly, and that's the fun of the show, is the fact that he went there just to sit on the beach and retire and look at the water and probably play music and you just relax and breathe, and he's not allowed to do that. The funny thing is, it's not the Philippines that does that to him. It's him. If you notice, when he's trying to relax, the watch goes off. But and Dean wrote this very, very specifically, and I thought quite brilliantly, when he's in a fight or when he's on a case, it never goes off. That's where he's comfortable. That's where his mind's at, and that's where his heart's at. When he tries to relax, the thing always goes off. When he's in a case, especially when he's in a fight, it never goes off, because that's where he's comfortable, and that's where his heart rate's down, which is strange.
That is great. I never even noticed it, but that's awesome. You're right.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
One of the things oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was fortunate to have that piece of information at the first. Dean talked about that before we started filming, so I always knew that he's the most comfortable when he's on a case or when he's in a fight. So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's good. Oh, well, I was telling Dean that, I love the representation of Southeast Asians, really. I could see myself on the screen. But at the same token, it is also not a white savior narrative either. I mean, because your co-stars and their characters are equally saviors themselves.
They are. Listen, I play a badass. That's what it is. That's what Dean writes for me. I'm so fortunate to have him. Those guys are his saviors. They're actually him. Because if he actually sit there and tried to relax and nothing was going on and it was just monotonous, he probably would die.
Yeah.
They're actually in his life. And it's really fun to know that those characters are heroes.
Yeah.
They really, and the Filipino people over there, I never felt like an outsider. When we sat down, and first of all, he never feels like that in the show, so no one's going to see it. But think about an American actor who's never been over there, going over there, experiencing a whole new way of filming, a whole new crew, a whole new language, even though everyone speaks English over there very well. I never felt like an outsider. I always felt like part of the family. And I don't know if that would happen if a Filipino actor came over and joined one of our little hoedowns.
Yeah,
so I'm very fortunate, man, that the Filipino people are as welcoming, and they're the nicest group of people I've ever met. I never felt like I wasn't at home on an island that I've never been to before. I felt at home, and that was crazy, man.
Oh, and you have great chemistry with Samantha Richelle, the hot and fierce Samantha Richelle, and the quietly intense Arthur Acuna. How was it working with them?
It's fantastic, man. Sam, this is Sam's first gig, and you wouldn't know it. She's a trooper. She was in there every day learning fights for her own fights, and I choreographed a fight with me and her. She showed up every day. She's nothing but ears. I mean, she would just listen to what was going on, take in her surroundings, take in the environment. Every once in a while, because the Lord has blessed me, I've been so fortunate to be a part of this business for a while. I would give her a note, and I would usually wouldn't do that to people because they get really upset about it. She was welcoming to it, you know what I mean? And then Art Acuna, he walked into the audition thing, and I looked over at Dean. I don't know if Dean told, and I said, "That's the guy, hire him." And Dean was like, "Calm down, calm down." We were in Manila, and I go, "But that's the guy." And, Dean put something on the board before we went there. He put up heart, soul, and brains. Obviously, I'm the brains. Samantha is the heart. She has the heart for the island. She wants to save everyone on the island. But Art is the soul. His character, Ernesto, is the soul. And Dean told him that, and he really leaned into it. And so he literally, Sam gets my blood pressure up because she's beautiful and because I'm always trying to get under her skin. But Art calms me down because he's got all this wisdom and this genuine quality about him. So we're very fortunate that we got those two, and then not only Noni to play Ocampo, the chief of police. He is fabulous, man, and we've got more scenes next season with me and him. But he is just absolutely fabulous, and he leaned into that politician role like nobody's business.
Yeah, he's amazing. He is a famous character actor in the Philippines, and I love him.
Well, you're Filipino, so half of the guest stars, some of them only have 2 or 3 lines. All our guest stars are unbelievable. They're like the Jennifer Aniston and the Meryl Streep of the Philippines. And Americans just don't know how lucky we got in having these really high quality actors on our show. I mean, it's like if the Philippines came over and did a show and Jennifer Aniston was guest starring, and then And then Matt Damon came in you don't understand the star power we've got on this show. The Philippines does, but we don't.
You're right. And even the little girl, Sophia, is amazing.
She's a 2-time Emmy winner in the Philippines, man.
Right.
She beat Grown twice. Yeah, she's become a friend of mine, and we will definitely see more of her on the show.
Oh, and this was your first time in the Philippines then?
I had a brief stay in Boracay. I went to Boracay for about a week. A friend of mine was filming out there, and I went to hang out with them, and so we went to Boracay for about a week, and I was in Manila for 2 days, and then me and Dean flew out to Manila to audition people and flew back and then flew out. But I honestly, you got to count this as my first time.
How long was the shoot? How long were you in Cebu?
Shoot was about 5 months. I got there a little bit early and stuff like that. Yeah. And then again, the president was going to shut down the airports the day. I don't know how this worked out, but the day we finished, we wrapped. We were scheduled to wrap that day. The next day he would shut down the airport. And so we barely got out of there, but we didn't have to, we rushed to get out of there, but we didn't have to rush to film. So we got very fortunate just with the times.
That is great. And so what was your most favorite memory of being in the Philippines for 5 months?
First of all, the weather was really hard for me to get used to. I'm a very hot-natured.
Humid.
So I lost 15 pounds. It's funny because if you look at me when we started the show, which was kind of the goal, and then you look at me after, you can tell that I've lost like 10 pounds because you just sweat it off. But my favorite part must have been, my favorite part was filming on a resort island at a resort. You know what I mean? It's like there's 1% of actors that actually get to work. You know what I mean? And that's the true story within SAG. It's like 1% of actors in SAG get to work. Yeah. I get to work. Now there's another 1% of that 1% that go get to film on a resort island. There may be 2-3 shows on TV, and it's just, I've just been blessed. But I'll tell you, the number one thing that I loved the most was the family that we created on set. We were in the trenches together. We were behind the 8 ball the whole time with weather, with the difference between an American show and the way the Filipinos film. We were behind the 8 ball, and we came together, and it became a family. And that's what I'm so grateful for. I can't wait to get back because it's like now those guys are my family.
And what about the food? Did you have fun eating our Filipino food?
I did. One of the scenes was I had to eat balut, which is for people that don't know, that's a fetal duck egg, and then I ate eels.
Embryo egg.
Yeah. Which is actually a real thing. They call it like the Philippine aphrodisiac and the Philippine Viagra, if you will.
Yeah.
And I had some of that, but it was good. The broth was good. The balut I could pass on. But then we had the what's the noodle dish? The
pancit.
Yeah, pancit. Yeah. And I love noodles, so I love pancit. Yeah. And it was fun. Of course, we barbecued out all the time. It was great, man. It was fantastic. I'm a foodie, so obviously I'm going to love the food over there.
That's great. Now, it's partly produced by my other home, away from home, ABS-CBN. Have you heard about my station's closure? And what can you say about that?
That, man, and we have so many friends over there. I was at ABS-CBN for 2 days. I think I was in. We walked through there, me and Dean, and saw the whole thing. And a bunch of the actors and actresses that came on our show are contracted with them. It's just really sad news, man.
Oh, I know. And so going back to Almost Paradise, what can we expect with your character? I know that the season is almost done, but can we expect season 2, hopefully?
Yes. I mean, you can, I don't see how we wouldn't do a season 2, man. We're having too much fun on this show. Dean Devlin, my friend and my boss, he loves this show too much. We both love Sam and Art and Noni. I don't see how it couldn't come back, man. And we have, you've talked to Dean, so you probably get more out of him, but we're looking forward to a second season. And I don't think anything's going to wrap up with Alex. I think Alex is in a world of crap in his head. And if we solved all that in the first season, then it wouldn't be any fun. So I think there's more debauchery and a lot more corny jokes that he's using to cover up his problems that are coming your way.
Oh, now how are you keeping your spirit up during the pandemic, Mr. Christian?
Well, I was a little bit down. You know, idle hands are not good for me. But my buddy Dean Devlin also told me that he's going to bring back Leverage, and so I've been mentally preparing to go do Leverage again. And then right after that, I'm going to fly straight out to the Philippines, hopefully, and do Almost Paradise. So my friend, my boss, Dean Devlin, is keeping me busy, at least mentally right now, thinking about all the great stuff that's coming our way. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Now, I love the title, Almost Paradise, but this was originally called Off Tropic, isn't it? Is it true?
It was called Almost Paradise, and then they toyed around with being Off Tropic, and then it went back to Almost Paradise. I love the name Almost Paradise.
Me too. I mean, you're musically inclined, having the band Kane, and all I could think of was Almost Paradise, the song by Mike Reno and Ann Wilson.
And that's the problem that most people were having when they almost heard this, and it was it was like, oh, that's going to kill us. But then we were like, well, wait a minute. If you start singing that in your head, it'll stay there all day, and all you're doing is repeating the title of our TV show, so let's run with it. Yeah, I actually had to talk with Dean about that on the Manila. I said, dude, please don't change the title, and he agreed.
Oh. Now, my last question, Mr. Christian, is why do you think audiences will like Almost Paradise, or why do they like it? I've seen a lot of people posting about it.
You know, there's a couple of answers to that, and I'll make it quick. Number one is a lot of people miss Leverage. And a handful of those people miss my character. This guy's pretty close to that character. You know, he has the background of Elliot Spencer, but he has a lot more problems, and it's a lot more emotion going through the show. And so I think people that really miss we don't do a con every week, but there's always something to solve. There's a case instead of a con. And it brings you back to that moment. And there's a lot of similarities in the music. There's a lot of similarities in the closing and the wrap up of the show that Leverage had to deal with. The people miss Leverage, and I think while we're making Leverage, you can tune into this show. Yeah. Now that's what I would have said before this virus hit us. With this virus, I'll say something else about this show. We're all stuck at home, and there's nowhere to go. And so, you know, let me be your tour guide. It's my honor to take you to this country that welcomed me in. And while you're sitting on your couch, instead of just sitting there, get on a plane with me, man. Come to the Philippines and experience the beautiful that is this island. And so I think the show has done really well. We've gone up in ratings every week, which is unheard of on a new show. I think it's because people want to take a vacation. And, you know, with Leverage, we used to throw punches for the little guy. The guys that couldn't stand up to their boss, the guys that couldn't swing, we swung for them. Yeah. And I think that this does that. In this situation, instead of, you can't go anywhere, so let us take you somewhere. And I think that's one of the reasons why the show has done as well as it has.
Exactly. You. Great. Well said. It's a great escape.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Well, mabuhay, Mr. Christian, and maraming salamat.
Mabuhay, thank you so much. And I tell you, man, there's so many people that I've talked to online out there. Dean's talked to them. The Filipino tourist board is going to thank us when this thing is over, because everybody wants to go to the Philippines now, and I say rightly so.
Yay! All right, good luck on everything, Mr. Christian, okay?
I'll see you, Manny. Take care of yourself, brother.